Hey guys, what is my hair doing? But anyway, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would sit down with you all and talk to you about my bipolar journey. It's been a journey because it's been a long time coming, I guess. Like, I'm going to sound a little bit jumbly because that's kind of like how my thoughts are at the moment. If you know anything about bipolar disorder, you get the whole racing thoughts and all that kind of thing. But anyway, I mean, it's been a long time in the process is probably what I mean, because I knew there was something wrong when I was in my early 20s. I'm now 32, and basically I was living at my mum's. She was living interstate at the time, and I was looking after my younger brother. And what had been going on was that I was having a lot of mood swings where I'd be like from here to down to here, like within a day. And so I went to my doctor. She diagnosed me with depression. They put me on antidepressants and that kind of thing. They did not work. You do not give bipolar patients antidepressants, not just on their own, because we generally need mood stabilizers and or antipsychotics, but my thing with antipsychotics is that I'm extremely sensitive to them. My body does not like them, and so I won't go on them ever again. Sorry about that interruption. I had a florist at my back door asking to see if they could trim some cuttings off my privet, because apparently they use that in bouquets and things. Who knew? But anyway, I don't want to go back on antipsychotics. I've been on probably 6 antipsychotics. If I can remember the name I would, but I can't. They've all given me really bad reactions. My body just can't cope with them. I've been on Epilum. I ended up talking to a tree. I'll leave that story time video down below. And so I'm going to talk about how I was diagnosed. I went to my doctor because I was having thoughts of suicide. I didn't actually want to die, but commonly with bipolar patients we get thoughts in our head and it's really, really hard to remove them. Sometimes it eventuates, but when you're able to not control, but like to distract yourself and that kind of thing, I use a lot of distracting techniques, and I don't have the suicidal thoughts as often now. But anyway, I was having suicidal thoughts. I was afraid to go out of my house because I would have something in my mind tell me that I need to jump in front of a bus. I'm not normally like that when I'm healthy. Normally I'm very happy. Normally I'm very, but it got to the stage where I was panicking about leaving my home. And I knew I had to go and get help. So I went to my doctor and she put me on antidepressants. I think it was, I know it was an old one, but I can't think of what it was actually called. It came with a warning that people in their early 20s can get suicidal on it. And that's what's happened to me. I ended up in the hospital because I had that reaction to that medication. I would not go back on it again. Even though it's just an antidepressant, I just know that it's not for me. It might not happen now because I am older, but I don't know. It's really hard getting my thoughts and talking normally when I'm not actually doing something. So I went to my doctor. That happened. They referred me to a psychiatrist. I didn't like her in the end. She was a total weirdo. She was the one that prescribed me the Epilum, and so I was originally on 500 milligrams, I think it is, or mcg, whatever that low dose is. It's not grams, but yeah. And then after a week of being on that, she prescribed me a dosage of 1500 milligrams, and that's when I started talking to a tree and basically being in an induced psychosis due to that drug or medication. So I had to wean off of that. I went back to my doctor, stopped the medication, changed to a different psychiatrist because I didn't trust her. And psychiatrists are very wary of diagnosing you with bipolar in general, because it took me how many psychiatrists? 3 psychiatrists to actually be diagnosed with bipolar as an adult, because originally my diagnosis was chronic depression and anxiety. Then it was changed to bipolar type 2 plus borderline personality disorder, which I don't believe I have. I thought maybe with the bipolar disorder type 2, because I wasn't always in and out of hospital or having, you know, a really big manic reaction. And then I went to my current psychiatrist, who I love. I've been seeing him for years, and I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder rapid cycling, which is one of the reasons why it's really hard to get diagnosed, but it's one of the hardest ones to diagnose. My moods change if I'm not on medication. They can change, but it's not as severe. Think of your most happiest day ever, times that by 1,000. I can get really excited. And this all sounds great. Don't get me wrong. Like, it sounds great, but it gets really draining, like, because there's no off button. When you can't control your emotions like that, and it keeps going and going, and mine can last for days. The rapid cycling, I mean, and I can literally swing from up, like, to here, then down. I'm going to use this analogy a lot. And then down to here. I get severe depression. I do have OCD, and I worry about a lot of things in general. And so with bipolar, even when I'm happy, I can still be worrying about things in here. Like, I'll still have the racing thoughts. I'll still get... It makes it so difficult when I'm at school, because I have to try and learn how to filter myself, because I can't be too excited, because if I'm too excited, then I'll often come out with really inappropriate stuff, because it's just the way my brain goes. Like, I'll just say whatever comes to mind because I think it's funny or whatever. I'm in college basically, and you know, I have to learn how to monitor that. And again, it's hard at school. If I get depression, I get really unmotivated. I really don't like talking to anyone. I lock myself away at home. I'll force myself out if I have to, which is why I am in the school, because I do feel that school is a good routine to have, and it helps to distract yourself because you're using your mind to do assignments, to do homework. But then again, it can get too much, and the stress triggers me. With my bipolar, I've learnt what has triggered me, and it's lack of sleep. When I was in my early 20s, before I was diagnosed, I would literally stay up all night, which is one of the worst things you're able to do for that kind of thing. But I didn't know that it was bipolar back then. And so to occupy myself, because I didn't have the internet back then, I would literally clean for hours. And I think the longest time I cleaned for straight was 6 hours through the night. I was scrubbing the kitchen floor on my hands and knees. I just couldn't sleep. I never had the whole thing where I would do dangerous things or that kind of thing, but I would sleep with people, and that kind of it stuffed up a lot of relationships for me, because my first long-term boyfriend, I cheated on him a few times, and that's been hard to deal with. I've never cheated on my current partner, and on a Saturday we've been together for 11 years, so that's quite an accomplishment, I think, for me. I think what else it can affect: shopping. I shop a lot. I don't spend a lot, because we worked out that when I'm in that way I get an allowance, and so I can't really go over that, because otherwise I would spend literally hundreds of dollars if I had it on whatever. And I don't recall doing that. When I was, how old was I? 23. I was in a bipolar rapid cycling manic phase, and I went to Kmart. I shoplifted, got arrested for shoplifting, and I'm not proud of this whatsoever. I had my psychiatrist write, actually be called because I knew that I wasn't right, and I'm like freaking out because I've been arrested. Ever since that, I've always managed my money to the best of my ability. Otherwise, my other half, he comes in and helps with ways so that I don't have issues like that again. But yeah, now I am on medication Topamax, which is technically a migraine preventer, but off license psychiatrists use it as a mood stabilizer. And I'm also on Lovan, which is Prozac, and those two have been working really, really well for me. Usually medications can stop working, like, say, after a few months, but I've been on this for now over a year, and I love the combination. I've not had any issues apart from the normal, like low sex drive, blah blah blah. You know, that's normal for that kind of thing. Weight gain, which is why I've gotten a little bit chubbier, but you know, I'm me, so what can you do about it? I think the main thing when I got diagnosed was wanting to know an answer of why I didn't feel normal, or why I never felt like I fitted in. Because when you're so much in your head like that, it's so hard to function socially. It's now I can talk to you guys in front of the camera and I've got friends, but I'm not the most social person. I know. I find it really draining. I don't know if any of you guys are like that. There's a history of mental illness, even though they weren't actually diagnosed in my family. I know my nan has probably borderline personality disorder, or I don't know, she has some personality trait. My mum definitely was bipolar, so I do believe it's genetic for me. Symptoms to look out for is doing things that they're not really commonly doing, like normally doing. Risky behaviour, obviously. Not sleeping, not looking after themselves. I find it extremely hard to stay motivated to look after myself, which is one of the reasons why I love makeup. I might not be like the best at doing makeup, and I don't claim to be when I do my makeup videos. I just like doing it because A, I'm learning something and I'm hoping that other people like it or are learning something as well. Other symptoms, I'm trying to think, aggression, irritability, depression, sleeping too much, not sleeping enough, not eating. That was another thing. I would not eat properly for days, just because when you're in that mindset, your body switches off its normal ability to function. But now what I do, I regulate my moods by sleeping enough, or I try to sleep enough, so I always go to bed generally about 11:30, midnight at the latest, like if it's not a school night. I try not to drink too much alcohol, but at the same time I do like a little bit of a drink because I do find it relaxing. I'm trying to think what else. I do a lot of distraction techniques, and they can be anything from keeping my hands busy, because with all that all the diagnoses, I also have a problem where I'm constantly picking up my skin. I do it mainly on my legs, because when my mind is going in 100 miles an hour, my hands feel like they have to do something, and I know there's a name for it, but I can never pronounce it, but I'll leave a link with like a help thing of it down below. So I'm on medication for anxiety as well, and keeping friendships has always been hard. I find that I can really want to be around people a lot sometimes, and then I just want to be by myself most of the time, which doesn't really work well for friendships. But I keep myself in a social routine with school and also with work, because I work a couple of shifts a week as well. But yeah, basically a routine really helps. That's why I've got so many animals as well, because like if I didn't have them to help me get up in the morning, because I know that I have to feed them and look after them, I'd stay in bed. So it's why I'm a wildlife carer. Yeah, that's basically it. I hope this video made some sort of sense. But yeah, I'll link some hotlines and websites where you're able to get help if you or somebody else that you know needs it or might need it. As always, if you like these kind of videos, let me know in the comment down below. And I will see you all soon in another video. Bye guys.